welcome to another exciting episode of The AI People, where we share inspiring stories of thinkers and builders who are humanizing AI. Today, we have Deepali, who is at the Black Hat conference happening in Las Vegas. And I'll let Deepali introduce herself and share some high points and discuss more about Black Hat and what's exciting out there.
Hi, Vivek. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I am Dipali. I am at the Black Hat Conference live, and I have lined up some great leaders that I will be interviewing while I'm at Black Hat on the floor. So let's go there.
Awesome, Deepali. I'm really curious to learn how the AI and security leaders are approaching new seismic shifts and would love to listen into some of these discussions.
All right, see you at the floor.
We are live at the Checkmarks booth at the Black Hat Conference. We are here at the Checkmarks booth at the Black Hat Conference in Las Vegas. I am Deepali. I am the host for the AI Trust podcast, and my colleague Vivek is the host at AI People, who would be joining us virtually in a minute. I'm here today with Darren, and I am so pleased to have you on our podcast.
I'm glad to be here.
Great. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Darren Meyer. I am the research advocate for Checkmarks. So I help bring research topics to a general public and help the research organization understand the industry in return.
Awesome. Great. Glad to talk to you. As part of the RSA conference earlier this year, my colleague Vivek, part of AI People, talked to your colleague Aaron, and he talked about ADLC. How do you think it's related to what you do, and what does your team work on?
So a lot of ADLC for us is about understanding how the industry is approaching the idea of secure by design for agentic things. It's a new approach to a lot of things. There's a lot of time pressure. So it's something we keep on top of to make sure that we can understand, where are there gaps, where are there holes, and then how can we help influence our product to help customers deal with those gaps that are kind of inherent to the process. And so our team has a larger mandate to kind of look at weaknesses and vulnerabilities across the industry, do vulnerability intelligence, but also to understand how to measure and improve the product from a security standpoint and make sure that the changes that we're implementing as a vendor are things that are good for our customers and kind of good for the industry and the world as a whole.
Great. You talked about governance by design and security by design. Tell us more about that, and how does it all fit into the bigger picture of the EU AI Act and all the ISOs that are out there?
Yeah, compliance is a really big challenge with AI in general, simply because everything's changing so fast. And regulatory compliance in particular is not a fast-moving industry historically. So we are pleased that a lot of the regulators are looking to the industry to say, hey, how are you using this? How are you securing this? And trying to codify some best practices. But it's very difficult for them to be very specific or to give very proactive guidance, because it's going to be out of date in a week if they're too specific about it. So governance is kind of inherently a little bit weak, and it's going to have to be until things settle out and can be more know what the right things to do are. So for now, a lot of it's around procedure and process governance of kind of show your work and make it auditable by people so they can understand the decisions that you make as an implementer, either whether you're adopting AI agents or writing them yourself, are based around having an AppSec design that puts security kind of front and center as a business requirement. And there's a big counter pressure in the industry that makes that very difficult, because we want to go really fast.
Correct.
And there's a lot of competition to be first to market, but also if you are not secure enough, that does come and bite you. So there's this natural tension between needing to be safe and secure by design for the long term and needing to be first to market in order to get the benefit of all of that attention.
Correct, correct. And this brings me to the question about striking that balance. What's your advice to the viewers about striking that balance between cost, securing by design, and all the other priorities that are business related?
So I think one of the big things is to make sure that security and safety in an organization are kind of primary stakeholders. Especially with AI, there's no good reason to put safety off to the side. AI safety is a very important topic. Security and safety are bedfellows. They should come along for the ride. If you have something that's insecure, it's inherently not safe.
Right.
So it's not the complete story for safety, of course, but like safety requires security. So those things need to be business requirements just like every other business requirement. And I think the hardest problem that people are facing right now is genuinely evaluating the cost of that, because it's easy to look at security and go, well, it's a cost center, it's not helping us do business.
Exactly.
But it is a risk reduction cost, so you really have to evaluate not doing it costs money too. And I think that's where a lot of people fail. And where compliance can kind of help is that it makes it cost money in a little more real way for people to be not compliant. But it costs you anyway. Accepting risk is an expense to the company, and it's hard to quantify because it's an expense that might not happen. Right? And it's very easy to be optimistic about your product. So my advice is to not put too much into that, well, it might never happen, and go, well, but it might, and kind of prioritize your conversations around that as one of the many business requirements you have to, on the same plane as your other business critical requirements,
right,
rather than as an afterthought.
Right. So I believe that anything that is built in is going to benefit at the end. Anything that is bolted on is going to be invasive, expensive, and reactive.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's something that we've noticed is true. I've been in this industry for about 20 years now, and this is a theme that keeps coming up, and AI is just making it even more under the spotlight, which is if you don't consider security in the design and in the implementation and kind of as you go, it's like not cleaning as you go in a kitchen. Your mess is going to be much worse if you wait to the end.
Right.
And a lot of the bad reputations that security gets comes from having it be at the end, and you're ready to ship, and now you're delaying a shipment, or you're doing this very visible cost to doing it. Whereas if you just do it all the way along, the cost is small at each increment, and it's much easier for the organization to absorb. So I think that's secure by design, but also just having security be part of the process like every other quality aspect. No one waits to the end to do their site reliability engineering or their performance testing. Right? They do that at every stage. Security is the same thing. It's another aspect of quality that has to be baked in for cost.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks for that perspective. Any final words?
Not so much, actually. I think you helped me cover it very well.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
You today. Glad that you are joining Deepali at the Black Hat Conference in Las Vegas. I was also at RSA, had a chance to speak with some of the executives at Checkmarx. I know AI and governance are top of mind of a lot of executives today. So I would love to learn more about the ADLC framework that you are building right now. And you sit on the research side of Checkmarx Zero. So maybe tell us a bit more about your team and how are you helping people break AI? How are you helping people secure AI written code?
Okay, so Vivek is basically, first of all, saying it's a pleasure to have you. And he is asking about the ADLC framework that was introduced by your colleague Aaron, which Vivek had interviewed as part of the RSA conference. And he would like to know what your team does and also how you're helping secure AI.
Sure. That's a lot of questions. I'm glad to be talking to you. That's a big topic, right? The ADLC is a really interesting piece of a much larger puzzle of trying to do secure by design AI and trying to get it on top of also just the adoption by development teams of various agents and tools. And everybody's promising the world, and it's really hard for teams to know, like, what can we afford? What's actually going to help? what can we do about safety and security and make sure that what we're adopting, but also what we're implementing and shipping to others is reasonably sane. And my team inside Checkmarks, I work for Checkmark Zero, which is the research arm. A lot of what we do is we try to help our product teams understand the industry and the way that it's going, but we also do the kind of threat intelligence of what are the new attack tactics, how are these things getting abused, what does a reasonable level of safety and security look like for AI?
That's great. And what is ADLC? Can you maybe talk about that framework for our audience to understand what exactly that is? Is it agent development lifecycle?
So he's asking if you could elaborate on what ADLC is, and he understands it's the agent development life cycle. But if you could talk about it a little bit more, that'd be great.
Yeah, and I'm not an expert on ADLC by any stretch. It is one piece of a larger puzzle, as I've said. But the basic idea behind ADLC is to create a standardized, secure and safe development lifecycle for people who are either consuming agentic as part of their development lifecycle or are producing agents as part of their development lifecycle. And so the idea is to find those integration points at where do you make various kinds of assessments about safety, security, compliance, and how do you do it in a scalable, repeatable way when you have all this pressure from the outside world going ship faster, ship faster, ship faster, which is why you're doing agentic development in the first place.
That's awesome. That's great. And Checkmarks, found that as AI coding assistants are taking off, more than 80% of organizations are shipping vulnerable code. So in your opinion, is AI making the problem worse or just faster? And what are the recruiting failures that you're encountering with developers in your community when they're accepting an AI suggestion?
So Vivek is asking if AI is making things faster. Right now, 80% of the organizations are shipping code that's vulnerable. And Vivek's question is, do you believe AI is making things faster or more vulnerable, or how secure they are?
Sure. I love that 80% number because it's 80% of people admits to shipping vulnerable code. We know it's more, right? We know more people are doing it. And I do think AI is kind of shining a spotlight on it. And I think it is creating a situation where I really feel like we've been kicking the can down the road in AppSec for a long time of, first it was Agile and then it was, DevOps and all these things that are making the SDLC faster. And AI is really stomping the accelerator on that. And the way that people are adopting AI is the promise of going even faster than that. And we've been kicking this can down the road of having the security program come up to that speed, and now we've run out of road. Right? AI has just kind of put the bridge out, and we don't see a future unless we get our stuff together and really figure out how to accelerate the security program to match the new pace of development.
That's great to know. Thank you. If the AI reviewer can be tricked, what does that mean for teams betting that AI will catch the bugs that AI introduced?
So Vivek is asking if say that again. Sorry.
If the AI reviewer can be tricked, what does that mean for teams betting that the AI will catch the bugs that AI introduced?
So he's asking if AI reviews can be tricked. Then what does it mean for the people who are relying on AI to catch the bugs?
Yeah. So one of my favorite things about the idea that AI is going to catch all of our security problems is, if it could do that, why is it putting them there in the first place? Right. So I think there's a place for an AI harness in quality and security. It's certainly something that Checkmarks is implementing in our own product as well. So it's not like, oh, it can't help. It can certainly help the problem, but by itself, it's already proving that it can't be vulnerability free, right? It's not better than humans at producing vulnerability free code. So we still have the problem, and now we're doing it more and faster. So we have this kind of bet that people are making that, well, we're going to take the security and technical debt on today, and AI will get better fast enough that we won't have to ever pay that debt back. And maybe they're right, but I'm skeptical of that fact. And I'm worried that some of these companies are kind of betting their whole future on that concept. And I suspect we're going to find out that a number of them have over-committed to AI. And we're going to find out in the next 12 to 18 months, kind of like, what was the right amount? People who are avoiding it are probably going to have problems. People who are over-adopting it are probably going to have problems. But we don't know where the right balance is today. So there's a lot of business risk management that has to be happening as people are adopting these new powerful tools to make sure that they're planning for, we don't know what the future will bring. Well, all we know is marketing promises, and we all know the line doesn't go up to the right forever. So what happens when that stops? What happens when the cost of tokens starts to be the true cost rather than subsidized cost they are right now? And can the company wait that long to pay back the safety and security debt? Right, we know there was research released this week at B-Sides that was all about the companies that don't exist anymore because of a breach. So it's a real threat if people get this balance wrong, that they could just not exist anymore.
Sure, that's great to know. And finally, what are your hot takes about Black Hat? Something that you learned or discovered through customer interactions at the conference that you would like to share?
Right. So Vivek is asking, what are your key takeaways from Black Hat so far? What have you learned, and what would you like to share?
So I think the main thing is, if you look around the convention floor in particular, it really highlights that all everybody wants to talk about is AI. And it's probably really good news for you as an AI-focused podcaster, but no one really has an agreement or a consensus on what the solution is, because we don't even fully understand the problem. Everybody's got a little slice of it they're working on. Checkmarx is looking at it from a safe coding standpoint. Other people are looking at it from a, how do we know what people are using? How do we make sure data doesn't leak? There's all these problems around this kind of new world, and the rush to adopt without being careful or cautious of all the things that we've learned in the past decade or so about security. It tends to be the theme, and everybody's really hammering on, we need to find a solution, and we think we've got something that solves part of the problem, but nobody's willing to stick their neck out and say they've got the whole thing solved, which I think is very telling what people aren't saying about, hey, this is an unknown future still, and it moves seemingly every week. So it's really interesting to see how people are navigating that and going, look, we can only focus on the problems we know, and there is no holistic solution to the risks that it brings.
Sure, that makes sense. Well, Darren, it's my pleasure to have you on the AI People podcast, and also it was great collaborating with Deepali from the AI Trust Table. Enjoy the rest of Black Hat, and stay in touch.
So he's thanking you for your time, and enjoy the rest of your conference.
It was my pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you.